Okay, so our talk this evening is about one world, one family. And this is event especially in honor to mark the International Day of Families, which is actually on 15th May, Sunday 15th May. And we have a very sweet sister of ours, Nina Buchanan, to talk about that. Nina has a background in corporate management and is also a life family coach. So very apt person for this theme. So when we talk about the world is like one family, and we all kind of emerge from the same seed. So we have lots in common. So she's here to address and tell us more about it. So without further ado, I welcome Nina on stage to share her thoughts. Thank you. To share her thoughts.
So, good evening, everyone. And a very warm welcome to this evening's session on the topic One World, One Family, One World, One Family. Or it could be One Family, One World. In fact, I even prefer that title, One Family, One World, because we are all one family. So, as Daksha mentioned, this week is the week of the International Day of the Family. I would say the International Day of the Family because I see the family as an institution, and it's an institution that really does cater for the needs of society in getting the cogs turning in society. We really fulfill the requirements of the labor force in our societies. But another very important thing I want to mention about the family as an institution, and that's not really highlighted as much as the other physical and practical things, is that the family as an institution is there to teach values-based awareness. The family is here to teach values-based awareness. And values-based awareness is not out there. It's within me, it's within you, it's within every single person. And the difficulty around connecting with our values-based awareness is simply because we've forgotten who we are. And so this evening, my talk is going to be centered around, very much around the values-based family, which is the family that will be bringing about and is actually currently doing whatever it can for those who are aware, to bring about self-transformation and world transformation. So in the blurb, the idea of a tree and with a seed was mentioned, and I wanted to show some slides referring to the tree providing a kind of structure for us to really understand the origins of the family. And this morning I was actually looking at an image of a tree I have on my computer. It's a massive, magnificent tree with its roots really deeply kind of embedded into the ground. And it just stands so tall and majestic, to the extent that you might think that it's been there for thousands of years. And the other thing about the tree is that it stands so tall, it's like a skyscraper. It's not that easy to see the top. And it spreads its wings, its branches meters away from the roots of the tree, so thereby providing a kind of shelter from the sun and the rain. You go to parks and on a sunny day and you see people sitting under the tree, being sheltered from the sun. You see people do that, sheltering themselves from the rain. So the tree has that very strong protective essence to it, its identity. So I want to use the tree as an example of how the human world family tree actually grows. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about this tree I was looking at this morning was that you can see the tree, but you cannot see the seed from which the tree grows. It's invisible, but it's very, very significant in terms of the tree being able to stand tall and actually carry the weight of the trunk, the branches, the twigs, and the leaves. So it's that seed that is really very much responsible, that is invisible, in fact, that is responsible for that tree standing tall. And remember, I'm using that as an analogy to understand what the human family tree consists of. So, the tree stays very firm. The seed stays very firmly in the earth, cannot be seen, and it's home, because for as long as that tree is alive, you will not be able to see the seed. And the same goes for the human world tree, the seed of the human world tree, which in my view is the supreme soul, the God, the universal source of light from which we are all sustained. And in fact, when you think about humanity as a whole, one central aspect of what we understand about life is that there is a universal being. You know, there are a few atheists, but essentially most people understand that there is a God. They might not have similar understanding as others, but they understand that there is a God and there is that seed. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to actually I was going to show this on a PowerPoint slide actually, but there isn't one. I chose not to use it. And what I want to do is to really explain the different categories of the human world tree, different categories. And when I really started thinking about the idea, I thought of as above, so below. But then I thought, well, what does it mean as above, so below? So I decided to change the phrase from as above, so below, to as below, so above, in order to describe what I understand by the three categories of the different types of trees. So I'm going to be talking about the tree of humanity, which involves souls and human beings. And there are three categories, and I'm going to start off with the category that we can most relate to. And the category that we can most relate to is the biological family. The biological family. We all come from a biological family. It's very easy for us to be able to identify with the biological family because there's a genetic link. The seed of that biological family from which we come, there are two seeds actually, the mother and father. We can identify that our parents are the seed that we came from. And in terms of the home, where do we live as the biological family? We live here on this in this dimension, on this physical dimension. So in terms of our existence, what does that mean? It means that in this form of the biological family, it's temporary. Our existence is temporary. It's time-based. We come into this body for a particular period of time, and then the body no longer exists. But there is the soul, which I see as the seed that lights up the body and keeps it alive for that duration of time. It lives on. But let's put that aside for a moment. I'm going to be just touching on the second category of the tree of humanity. The second category for me is the human family, the human world family. So I am, although I don't come from your biological family, but I am your sister, you are my brother. We are all kind of not genetically linked, but we are energetically linked. We are spiritually linked because of the soul quality that's inherent in all of us. So the sum total of human beings, we're not biologically linked, but energetically linked. And we are human beings. So what's the seed? What is the seed, or who is the seed of that category? The seed is God, the universal source of light. Yes, there are lots of mothers and fathers amongst us, but essentially we are birthed through that universal source of light, the Supreme, who is non-physical. Again, that supreme seed that we come from, and that the form of that seed is light, just as we are light. Essentially, the soul is light. So where's our home? Where is our home? Our home, again, because we are souls in bodies, we are living on this planet. We're living here, the physical world. But in terms of our existence, what I've actually noted is that it's a question for you to think about as we're, engaging in this talk. Is the human family tree temporary, or is it eternal? Is the human family tree temporary? My being your sister, you being my brother, etc. So let's hold that question for a while and see what comes up as I continue. So the next category of the tree of humanity, the tree of human souls, is the category of the family tree of souls, the family tree of souls. Souls without bodies. Because as I mentioned, the body is temporary, the body is destructible, the soul is indestructible. So souls without bodies. Not humans, but potentially humans, because we take birth and we come onto the field of action and we play our parts as with a biological connection or an energetic connection. So who is the source? What is the source of that category of family? God. God as mother and father. So there's the feminine and masculine principle is combined in that seed that is the source of human souls. So the family tree of souls is really just points of light, points of light. And where is our home in that state without bodies? Our home is in the soul world, in the spiritual realm, that which we do not have access to on this level. But if we really have a determined thought to practice getting to know the self and connect with that seed, which is the source from which we come and which sustains us, then we have somewhat of an insight into that home, the spiritual realms that I talk about. In terms of our existence, we are naturally immortal. We are eternal. There is no death. The body dies, but the soul never dies. So having mentioned those three categories of human souls, I want to now just look at exploring the topic somewhat. So what the symbol of the tree really tells us. What does it tell us in terms of the topic one world, one family, or one family, one world? So what it tells me is that there's a seed, there's the saplings like the roots, the trunk, the sapling of the branches, the twigs, the leaves come from this specific seed. That's what it tells me. And as above, so below. As above, as above. So you have, the seed at the root, but also the seed, the spiritual seed, also exists at the top of the tree, which is in the soul world. The seed doesn't exist. The spiritual seed doesn't exist under the earth as with the normal, ordinary tree. So, so as above the seed, so below the seed. And in terms of the biological family, the seed being the parents, we are on this planet, but the Supreme Soul, the God, the Supreme Soul, the universal source of light, resides up above. And if you look at the image of the tree of souls, it's inverted. Inverted means that the tree, the roots at the top, which is where the seed is, and the branches, twigs and leaves, are actually hanging at the bottom. Whereas when you look at the biological family tree, it's the other way around. Hence the term as above, so below. Okay. So what does the family tree, this whole idea of the family tree, tell me? Human souls are inextricably linked. We are inextricably linked. We're linked by energy. We're not linked physically. We're the most important link of human souls is the fact that energetically we are linked eternally. Whereas we leave bodies, we go and we come and we go off as souls, we come back as bodies into different categories, but the most important link is that of the soul. Soul awareness means unity and oneness. Unity and oneness. So when we really connect with unity and oneness, we have to go beyond the physical, because if we do not go beyond seeing the physical and seeing the behavior traits, then we are not able to reach that heart space that we need to reach in order to embrace unity and oneness. When we come from an outer consciousness awareness, meaning that we are fixated on the bodies, the differences, you know, the race, the culture, the religion, and all of those other things that separate us, then that separation, what happens is that it leads to conflict. As you can see, that what exists in the world at the moment, there are lots of conflicts. There are people, we have a cost of living crisis at the moment. You turn on the TV and all you hear is about people starving, people not being able to pay their bills. There's a war going on in Ukraine at the moment with Russia. There are lots of conflicts between communities, people, you know, around places and things and so on. So that is as a result of our fixation on differences. And differences is what comes up when we focus on the physical form. So we come from the same seed. We come from the same seed just as the biological family comes from the same gene pool. In fact, I was thinking about my own family and the striking resemblance that we carry, not just in terms of how we look, but, you know, even the tone of our voices. I phoned up my 89-year-old aunt I've not seen for a very long time, and she was struggling to identify who I was, but she kept saying, "I know the voice, I know the voice, I know the voice." So she was remembering that I belonged to the family you know, the extended family, and that I am the daughter of her brother, who is no longer alive, but she could identify the voice, but she couldn't remember my name. Yes? There's 7 of us in my family, and we all sound alike. It's amazing. She kept saying the names of my other siblings, thinking it was one of them, but it wasn't. So I was just thinking that that's just amazing. We carry the same tone of voice and the resonance within our voice boxes. It's interesting. Okay, so how can we relate to each other as a family? How can we relate to each other as a family? There is this phrase which I heard in one of my spiritual teachings one morning last week, or it may have been this week. Giving is receiving. So it says a lot in terms of how we relate as a global human family. So each affects the whole. Each thing that you do or I do, it's even if it's a thought, or something I say to someone, or something that I may have done that's caused a rippling effect that's impacted another person. So each action that I perform affects the whole. I can't abuse another part of the tree without abusing myself. I can't abuse another part of the tree without abusing myself. The branches, the twigs, the leaves are symbolic of the different races, the different cultures, the different beliefs. All those differences, a multifaceted tree of differences, a multifaceted garden of flowers, yet we are one. And because we are so steeped in being fixated on our bodies, and thinking that we are bodies, and seeing just the wrong that people do, it's very, very difficult for us to see the beauty of the garden, to see the beauty of the garden, to see the beauty of the tree with the different branches, twigs, and leaves. So it's difficult for us to remain wholesome and strong. And when we remain wholesome and strong, there is harmony throughout the whole system, the whole world family system. At the moment, there isn't that. And what the family as an institution is there to do is to really raise the awareness, understand that each and every single one of us is a soul. And within us, we have these beautiful values, virtues, qualities that are expressed as a result of those values we have in us, within us, and that we can make changes. I can't kill without killing an aspect of myself. I cannot hate without hating an aspect of myself. I cannot steal without stealing from myself. And all these things are things that happen in the world around us at the moment. And there are things that we can actually do to really turn things around as a family. So as a soul, I'm also a seed, as I mentioned before, that bears fruit for self-transformation and world transformation. the seed that I am, that contains the light that keeps the soul alive, that contains the values and virtues that I can tap into, are the things I can use to keep this world wholesome and healthy. And it means under those circumstances, I have the mindset of one world, one family, or one family, one world. So there are lots of biological families out there in the world at the moment doing their best to make a difference. And I just want to mention something that is happening in my own family at the moment. So as I mentioned, that there are 7 of us, our parents, all our parents have left. You know, they've transited. Both my parents have transited. And so there's 7 of us siblings left. It's interesting, but we're all in our, we're quite seniors now in our bodies, but we are still alive, and it's really nice, thank goodness. And we are involved in different spiritual disciplines, and in fact, no 2 of us are doing the same thing in terms of following the spiritual path, and a couple of us, or at least one of us, isn't really spiritually inclined at all. In fact, he says he's an atheist. He doesn't believe there's a God. However, we have decided to meet on a weekly basis as a group to create, for an hour, to create silent spaces for us to contemplate on values and virtues such as peace, compassion, tolerance, accommodation, and so on and so forth. And for those of us who pray, what we do, the ones who meditate, we just simply hold that space of silence for them to be able to do what is most appropriate for them. And I was just thinking that if my parents knew what we were doing, they'd be so happy. And I feel that given who they were to us, they've left us with that legacy of values-based awareness. Even though they may not have used the word values-based awareness or qualities and virtues, they instilled something in us that was very, very strong, that is manifesting itself at the moment in the way that we are aiming to hold the space for each of us just to, you know, shine our lights. So I'm really, I really wanted to mention that. And there are lots of other families doing similar things. There's another project that I've been invited to. It's not a family project, but this individual decided to start a project called Grounding with My Mother, Grounding with My Mother. And so she's invited a number of souls from across the world to be a part of this project. And we have to spend quiet space really thinking about the values and the qualities that our mothers left with us, and how those values and qualities are actually manifesting themselves in our lives at the moment. It's a fantastic program. She's going to have it screened as well. But for me, it's just so exciting being a part of that network of people. So just looking at the time. So I want to also just mention about how do we stay connected to the seed for sustenance, The seed at the top of the inverted tree is the one that I'm talking about. The seed that never comes into body, the seed that is always there, sustaining us and seeing us as the children who are points of light. So it's about remembering my original form. My original form is that I'm a soul. I'm a seed. I am the light, the seed that keeps this body alive. And it's also remembering that ultimate seed, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. That's very, very important. So it's connecting to myself as a seed, connecting to the seed, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. It's about remembering it's about remembering also that we are stars. We are stars that light up this planet. I'm a star in this body, and the sum total of us and the sum total of us stars, we light up the planet. And by lighting up the planet, we keep the planet alive. And so what I want to just touch on before I finish is the life, human life, something called human life versus the planet. So let's just look at us as souls, human souls living in bodies on this planet, and how we are inextricably linked to the planet, the existence of the planet. Human souls are inextricably linked to the existence of the planet. The body comprises of 70% water. And the body is, for me, it's seen as the planet that this soul lives in. The planet, the body is matter. The planet is matter. The soul lives in this body of matter for a while, and then the soul leaves this planet of matter. When the soul leaves this planet of matter, the light goes out. When the sum total of our souls are no longer catering for the needs of the planet, then the planet dies, because if the souls are not here, the planet dies. If human souls are not here, the planet dies. It's like living in a house where if the lights are turned off, it's dark, and there is no scope for operating in that home because it's dark. So I suppose what I'm trying to do is to let us realize how responsible we are as human souls living on this planet for the preservation of ourselves as human beings, as well as the planet, the home we live in. So the soul is the life force for the body, and souls, the sum total of souls on the planet, is the life force for the planet. It might be something that you find difficult to accept, but we can have a conversation about it later. So as we harmonize our consciousness, the health of the planet is restored. If we harmonize our consciousness, the health of the planet is restored. If we pay attention to the seed, and the seed here, the planet will be restored. The other thing I want to mention is that human consciousness, body consciousness, when I see things from an outer perspective all the time, when I think I'm a body, and I see the actions performed by others, and not the soul, then basically what I am doing, I'm contributing to the destruction of the planet. If I focus my attention inside, see myself as a soul, see you as a soul, that action renews the planet. So I'm going to stop here because I was told to stop at 7:30 for some questions and answers. Am I right? Okay. So if you have any questions, I'd be very happy for us to have a conversation and for me to answer whatever questions you have. In the meantime, I wanted to talk about the individual as a category of the family structure that I've just talked about. Because within me, there is a family system with which I need to work in a positive way in order for me to be able to relate to my brothers and sisters on the planet. Yeah? But if you have any questions, we can take those now. Yes.
Does anybody have a question?
Yeah.
Use the mic.
When the soul leaves the body, does it remember who I am, this body, this person that it has lived in for X amount of years on this planet? And if it does remember me as me, I hope I'm making sense, how long does it retain the memory of me before it moves on?
Well, you see, the thing is, if the soul takes rebirth into another body, then the soul won't remember the identity of the body that it's just left. Little children, they often remember snippets of information and refer to those bits and pieces of information. But in total, no, you don't take the memory of that lost body that you've left, because you've moved on to another part of your journey where, of course, experiences that you've had in that old part of your journey will be there in the subconscious mind, you know, helping you to gravitate towards situations, circumstances, and things where you will learn more about yourself, but you won't remember the old body. Yeah, is my understanding. Anyone else wants to ask a question? Yes.
You know, when you have this feeling that you've never been to a place, but suddenly you are in that place, and you know that you've been there before. And I was wondering if within our rebirth there is genes that would remember, or is it just subconscious?
Well, yes, you're talking about deja vu, actually. I mean, when I went to Japan for the first time, I remembered not distinctly everything, but there was that feeling of familiarity with the place and that very strong feeling that I've been there before. Yes, so that could be relating to a past life. But you're not going to have the whole story because it will get in the way of your journey into the next experience. You'd always be looking back, wouldn't you? Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, in fact, London is a place. I was born in Jamaica. I've lived in London for 58 years, and I know that London is a place I'd been before. Yes, it's quite natural. It just feels right. Yes, yeah.
There's a question from the online viewers.
Yes.
Based on what you shared today. The question is, we see so much chaos in the world. Is it because that we have not been as kind to ourselves?
Is it because we're not kind to ourselves?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, there is a saying, the inner determines the outer. The inner determines the outer. And I was actually going to just touch on the inner family system, that if the inner family system is not working right, as a matter of fact, I think that's the reason for a lot of the challenges that humanity faces at the moment. The inner family system is skewed. It's not working right. There are those component aspects of consciousness. Consciousness being my awareness. Who am I? I am a soul. Consciousness. So, what I believe, so the components of consciousness, beliefs, values, perceptions, attitudes, thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, actions. So those components are my parts that make up my consciousness. If I believe the wrong things, then that's going to determine my values. That will determine the way I see reality, the way my attitude is to life, to people, places, things. It will impact on my emotions, and the cycle continues. Yes? So if my inner family system is not really working well, if I don't listen to my intuition, if I keep hurting others, and perhaps not knowing that I'm hurting myself, but I'm hurting myself. So yes, in fact, it starts with the self, me first. So there is an inner family system that needs to be paid attention to. And when I take the Raj Yoga meditation course, for example, and learn about who am I, identity, my identity, if I think I'm a body, then that's going to have implications for my self-image, how I see myself. I'm going to be very insecure in terms of how I see myself. I will have a very difficult relationship with myself. I will have a relationship that's not good with myself. I'll be abusing myself. If I abuse myself, that's what I'll do to you. If I love myself, that's what I do to you. So it all starts from within. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Which explains why the internal family system is a very important point to look at when we look at one world of one family. It doesn't just start out there. It starts from inside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question?
Nina, I don't think there are any more questions, so you can share a bit more if you want, or you can take us into long guided meditation.
Yes. Okay. So, so yes, the internal, I'm going to start the meditation in a minute, but the internal family system is really very important. How do I manage my thoughts and feelings that evoke a lot of feelings of shame, of anger, of distress? You know, how do I deal with my emotions? How do I manage my emotions? You know, do I have a system of finding peace when, you know, I'm feeling distressed or agitated? So, for example, one of the questions in my family group yesterday was, how do we as individuals find peace? Some people say, I sit in meditation. Some people say, I go to the park and sit with the trees. You know, so we have to have a system, and we have to be dedicated to that system of self-change, inner change, and then the world changes. When I change, you change. Okay. So, sitting quietly, I turn my attention inside, and in this space of stillness, I focus my attention on my breathing. I'm allowing the breath to flow effortlessly through my nostrils. And with each in and out breath, I notice the chest rising, expanding, relaxing. And just remember that the breath is that vehicle that takes you inside yourself, into that space of stillness, into that space of calm, into that space of silent reflection. And I'd like to invite you just to make sure your body is sitting comfortably. Just allow your limbs and muscles to hang loose as you just gently observe the breath flowing in and out of your nostrils, and just notice how the body is sinking deeper into your seat. The body becomes still. And as the body becomes still, the mind becomes quiet. It is that breath of life that's taking your attention away from the outside world of disturbance, of distractions. And in this silent space, you can even hear the noise and sometimes the movement of things around you, but you're not affected. You're not perturbed because you are inside your silent space, taking care of yourself, becoming the change that you want to see in the world. this space within is your protective space. It's where you take time out to recharge your batteries, to connect with the seed that you are, that point of infinitesimal light located at the center of the forehead, between the eyes. And when I'm centered in that space of stillness, I become the detached observer of my thoughts. I become the detached observer of my feelings, the observer of everything that is taking place around me. I'm not affected. The inner family system, the seed that I am, is in charge. And I also become aware of this powerful connection that I have with the supreme seed, the universal source of light, that sustains my inner family, that sustains the human global family. Enabling me to shine that light that I really am. In making the world a better place, in seeing myself as inherently a part of the human global family. Om Shanti.
Wow. What can we say? Join me in thanking Nina for sharing with such depths. Just a few points that really touched me. I mean, I think the whole session was so beautiful, and I just made me think maybe it's worth exploring this subject as a workshop as well for, maybe a few hours. But what I really want to underline from what she shared is that we cannot abuse or steal or harm others without harming ourselves. And so if we all understand that, there'll be so much joy and happiness and kindness and compassion that we will share. And I really love the thought about your family meeting on a weekly basis, and with all the difference of approaches in your life, but you're still together. So I think it's something that we can do that for our own families or our own connections. So thank you for sharing that. Every week we highlight one product that goes in lines with the topic, and this week we thought there's a beautiful book by Diane Tillman, Nurturing with Love and Wisdom, a mindful guide to parenting. So feel free to browse in our shop or look at it online. But very beautiful book. And next week we'll be marking the Vegetarian Week, so it's going to be about conscious cuisine by Ranjan Amin, same time. There won't be actual demonstration of cooking, but there'll be lots of tips, and I know I share the house with her, so she's already started to think a lot, and she's got lots of tips that she can share, which is so, helpful. So do join us, and thank you once again. And if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, so we have two things that we offer, actually 3 things. Thought for the Day online, like it comes on your email box every day, and also weekly lecture notice of what's happening in the week, and monthly newsletter. So do subscribe if you haven't. And also we have a YouTube channel, so all our talks, most of them get onto the YouTube channel. So if you want to revisit what you've just heard or want to share with somebody, you can refer to our YouTube channel, which is just if you type in a space Wembley. And yes, if you like and subscribe, then you'll be notified every time we post something. So thank you, and safe journey home.
Thank you very much. Thank you.